This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's discussion, and we're looking at this as we study various different startups, advise people on various different startups, and in this concept of what are the signs that you ought to give up on your startup? And here's 5 of them. One of them starts with that you're running low on money. You've hit your sort of, markers. Here's how much money I want to risk at this. And you're not finding outside money. It might be a sense to go for outside money, but if you're self-funding, at what point are you running low on money, or at least the amount that you want to commit to this venture? And I've seen this over and over again when people have started to commit far more than they expected to it. It's almost like a person at the blackjack table that can't stop putting money into it. And at some point, you got to have some kind of hard stop as to that's enough money. Second is, you don't have the time or desire to put into it. Startups and really figuring out how to get a business going take tremendous time. It's why several entrepreneurs stop at some point because it's just as exhausting to really try and figure it out. And it takes tremendous commitment, especially when you're dealing with a portfolio of life. You have to decide, do you really have the desire and drive? Do you want to be known as a startup founder, or do you actually want to do a startup? And they're 2 very different things. It's cool to be known as a startup founder. It's very different to actually do a startup. We had an old wrestling coach that used to say, do you want to be a wrestler or do you want to wrestle? And wanting to wrestle was the gold standard. Wanting to actually do a startup is the gold standard. Pretending to want to do it or sort of going through the motions doesn't work. It takes tremendous time and energy. Third is, no matter how hard you're trying, your market isn't responding or showing interest. I always get so concerned when a startup that I've invested in or advised on says, hey, we're going to start looking at a new market, or hey, this market sounds great. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't the plan. That's a little scary in terms of my view. It's always a bad sign. Fourth, regardless of your efforts, you're not making the progress that you want to make. That's another sign to think about, should we keep on pursuing this or not? And finally, fifth, you're just not enjoying it. It all sounded good, but it's brutal. It's not fun. It's just work, and it's not fun, and it's going poorly. Now, everything's going to be work, but there's a point at which you feel positivity towards it. You're getting those endorphin rushes because things are going good. You're getting the doping fix. Some clients are signing up. You're making progress in your product. You're doing whatever you're doing, and so there's some positivity to it. On a similar note, in deciding whether to keep on pursuing your startup or not, Michael Porter, the famous business strategy, said the essence of strategy is deciding what not to do. And he's one of the great ones when it comes to strategy. I've met Michael several times over the years. I've grown more and more to truly appreciate his genius, and it took me some time to get there, but an incredibly brilliant thinker on strategy. Again, these are 5 signs they should give up on your startup. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thank you very, very much.